Welcome back to Astrology, Angels, and More. Today is June the 3rd, 2021. And we have a very interesting show ahead because I have an extremely interesting guest tonight. But as I always do, I'd like to go over a couple of the important points regarding the month of June astrologically. So, first of all, happy birthday to Gemini. Gemini is the third sign of the zodiac with Mercury as its ruling planet. Yellow is the color associated with Gemini, and Geminis are curious, playful, bouncy, and clever. Many are writers, speakers, or they work in the communications field. They're quick-witted and make excellent salespeople. Conversation is the key here with Gemini. Their lucky stones are aquamarine and citrine. Now, we have a lot going on in June with some retrograde planets. Yes, more than Mercury retrograde, but it's okay. Having a retrograde planet in the heavens is not always a bad thing. There's good energy about it also, such as when a planet is retrograde, it gives you an opportunity to be able to reflect and preparation, depending upon which planet it is. Now, of course, when Mercury's retrograde, it is not the best time to sign contracts or plan that flight somewhere, because you could end up with a delay or maybe some form of miscommunication or something like that. But that's all it is. And all you have to do is just double check everything and make sure that you've already checked for anything that could possibly go wrong. And as long as you do that, it should be fine. But whenever a planet is retrograde, it's giving you an opportunity in order to prepare. Now, June the 10th, we'll be experiencing the Gemini solar eclipse, which can expose a lot about ourselves and others that we usually don't see. This can be a wonderful time to have that conversation that perhaps has been avoided. However, with Mercury still retrograde until June 22nd, it would be a good idea to thoroughly review any points you would like to make before actually verbalizing them in that very important conversation. Realize that this will be a time of growth, renewal, and reflection. A happy time long awaited. And boy, we have been waiting and waiting here to have some happiness, haven't we? And this is the time now to finally be happy. Things are opening up. Everything will be available again. And that's absolutely wonderful. Now, the planet Saturn also continues to be retrograde for this entire month and will not turn direct until October the 12th, along with Pluto retrograde. But having Mercury retrograde and the two distant planets, Saturn and Pluto, makes for a great time to put together a plan of action that has been long postponed. Especially if you would like to fulfill that plan, the latter part of October into mid-November, that would be great timing to start something new. Now, June 20th at 11:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the longest day and shortest night of the year, which is the Cancer solstice. And this solstice marks another shift in the universal energies that bring about more intensity for change. That's what this month is really all about. Change. A lot of change. I'm sure you've already been feeling it in your lives. A solstice is an energetic gateway due to the reduction in the magnetic field of the Earth, which allows a greater flux of cosmic radiation to penetrate our atmosphere and our psyche. That's why we feel so many energy shifts that have been happening. A lot of my clients have been reporting this, and a lot of my friends, that they keep feeling all these energy shifts happening. That's because we're getting closer and closer to the solstice. And this solstice falls in the house of partnership in the astrological chart of the United States, which has a lot to do with dealing with other countries. Things are starting anew. So, astrologically, this falls in the house of partnership with other countries in the chart of the United States. That's true. But there can be new understandings that we come to with other countries, new agreements, and possibly restoring some of the old. Now, on June 20th, the big planet, Jupiter, will retrograde until October 18th. June 22nd, Mercury will finally station direct, and then you can really forge forward with your plans. June 25th, Neptune will retrograde until December 2nd. On June 24th, the super strawberry Capricorn full moon will be magnifying feelings and situations. So don't allow yourself to overreact to any situation until all the facts are known. This is not the time to jump to any conclusions. This full moon gives us the ability to overcome any obstacle with great perseverance. This is also a time when all our hard work is coming into fruition. So, bottom line, what we're talking about for the month of June is we have 5 planets retrograde at some time within June. We have Pluto, Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter, and Neptune. And if you would like to have a better understanding about this, please feel free to go to my website and you can read more about this, hopehypnosis.com. Now, with all these retrograde planets, my little grandson, his name is John. Well, he's not so little anymore. He's really getting tall. He's 11 and soon to be 12. He's very interested in astrology also, as my granddaughter is. And he had asked a question of his father, Daniel, who you've seen already be a guest on my show here, Daniel Irizarry. He asked the question, does the Earth ever go retrograde? Because he hears me talking all the time about the retrograde planets. And I got to tell you, that was some profound question. Because nobody ever asked me that before. And to be completely honest about it, I never really thought about it before. So I did some research, and here's the answer. A retrograde motion is an apparent change in the movement of the planet through the sky. It's not real. in that the planet does not physically start moving backwards in its orbit. It just appears to do so because of the relative positions of the planet and Earth and how they're moving around the sun. So if you had ever wondered that question about why you never hear about the Earth going retrograde, that's the answer to that question. And I felt that was a pretty profound question. Well, without further ado, I would love to introduce you to my very special guest tonight. You're going to find this show very interesting and everything that he has to talk about and share with you. And I would like to introduce Joe Lani. He's an author and psychic medium, and his book that has been published is Running with the Bulls, The Road to Fresh Skills. He's actually a retired New York City police detective, a sergeant, and he was assigned to the Fresh Skills landfill in Staten Island after the 9/11/2001 attack on the World Trade Center. So now, Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For being here tonight. You know, I'm very excited about you being here tonight.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, because when I had met you before, that was, I think, 2 years ago,
Right.
when we met. And that was when you were on the show God's Way, Yahweh.
Yes.
Okay, on CTV also. And I got to tell you, I was in the audience that night. And then afterwards, we were talking.
Right, we spoke, right.
And I have to tell you, everyone, he's the real thing. I'm serious. When as far as mediumship goes, he is the real thing. So listen intently because he has a lot to tell us. Go ahead, Joe. Tell us about yourself and your experience and your books and everything else.
Okay. Well, really everything started with me mediumship-wise at the time of the World Trade Center.
Uh-huh.
Prior to that, as a child, I had a couple of things happen to me that I remembered later on in life. I talk about in the book, I just mentioned little blurbs. I had a cat that had passed away when I was a child. And this cat used to sleep on the end of my bed, on my feet, every night. So the cat disappeared. Neighbor came over about a week later and said, we found the cat. It was dead in his yard. So I went to sleep that night, of course, very upset.
Of course.
And lying there, and I felt the cat lie down on my feet right where it used to.
Oh, wow.
So, and I wasn't afraid, but I remember that vividly. And we're talking, I mean, I don't want to date myself, but
No, I understand.
50 plus years ago, and I remember that.
Okay.
So, and then as life goes on, you're in school, and my grandmother actually was psychic also.
Okay.
She had predicted different things throughout the years, and
It really runs in families.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. And I really, not that I paid attention to it so much, but I remember her saying that the different big incidents that had happened back in the day. And she had told my grandfather, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And they would come to fruition.
Yeah.
So, actually, before I went on, I just want to mention a couple of things. Before 9/11 and the police, I was at my grandmother's house in 1967, 68. And my aunt, Jenny, was having open heart surgery. So you can imagine back in that time frame.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Back then. Wow.
And I remember my Aunt Jenny died on the table. And it was a winter day.
Yes.
And I remember my grandmother yelling, Jenny's dead, Jenny's dead. And from that day on,
Wow.
I had this fear of having open heart surgery on a winter day in New York City. And I always remembered this throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fast forward to 2014,
Yes.
I had to have open heart surgery on a winter day, rainy day in Manhattan. So I knew it was going to come. Even back then. That's why it was on my mind all the time. And it just happened to be, and it came through. But again, these are all things when I think back that I remember.
Do you feel that was a trigger, like it was letting you know?
It was letting me
that
know.
Back then, way back in the 60s there, letting you know?
Yes.
That at some point, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I remember watching my grandparents as a 12-year-old, and they were retired, and sitting there watching TV, nice and comfortable. And I remember saying to myself, I want to be retired. I hope I retire early. And I was retired at 42 years old. So for me to remember that type of
Absolutely.
snippet,
Yes.
I always found interesting. But I didn't think of this till later on.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I started reevaluating what had happened to me, different things,
Putting the pieces together.
putting the pieces together. But the main thing, before 9/11, I had gone to different psychics and card readers, and there was one gentleman, James. His name escapes me, but he would use the he would go back. I forget what they call it now. The Akashic records.
Yes, the Akashic
He would look back because I
records,
asked him how he
absolutely.
did it, and he said he
Yeah.
would just look back in the cards.
Yep.
And he said to me, "I see you working with tractors and cranes." So I said, "Well, that's just ridiculous because I don't. How would that even play into what I do?" And he said, "I don't know. Maybe you're going to get a security job after you retire at an industrial park." I said, "Maybe." He said, "Then I see you going to another location, like 2 different jobs." I said, "Okay." So I had gone to 2 other psychics, in a time period of maybe a year. And they said the same thing to me, tractors and cranes. So I was,
So that was 3 people?
3 people
Wow.
told me tractors and cranes. So I didn't realize what was going on
Wow.
until I ended up at Fresh Kills. And I saw the tractors and the cranes, and I actually said to myself, there's my tractors and cranes. And that was the second site. First site was Ground Zero. Second site was, the guy had told me 2 different sites.
And what were you doing there?
Well, at Fresh Kills, we were responsible for looking for, obviously, people that were deceased, body parts, the planes, black boxes, all personal, earrings, shoes, driver's licenses, anything that we could pull out from the rubble. We would sift through the entire World Trade Center.
My goodness. How many years were you doing that?
Well, I was there from September 2011, or 2001, I'm sorry, to February when I had my heart attack up there. February, so I was up there 7 months, 6, 7 months.
How did you feel while you were there?
Well, it was an honor to work up there because I was a field supervisor. So I was out in the fields with all the sifters, and hundreds of detectives and firefighters and federal agents were all working these sifters and looking for,
Yeah.
whatever we could find. And we found a lot up there,
Sad.
fortunately.
Yes. Yes.
So it was it was interesting. It was something that had to be done. It didn't really bother me in the sense of this is horrible. I just knew the job had to get done. We were trying to bring things back to the family.
Did you feel a connection with any of the souls that had passed?
Well, I had
9/11?
specific instances. I had I call him the dark passenger, where I'm driving around. I would drive around from sifter to sifter,
Yes.
and I saw a guy in a coat walking with a briefcase. So, and I would work from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. So I drove down there to find him. He was gone. So my impression of that was that he was a lost soul. He was looking around.
Sounds like that, yeah.
I would go to we had all the fire trucks up there, all the decimated trucks, police, fire, EMS. And for whatever reason, I would get out of my car and I would sit in these trucks and I could feel them in there. Now, this is all prior to me having a heart attack now. So things were beginning to happen with me, I think, physically.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think that the heart attack was coming. And I actually told the other sergeant that was in the command center, the trailer, I said, I just saw 6 of the firemen that sit in the back of this particular truck. I said, it was in black and white, but I got a quick glimpse of all of them. And they all had worried faces on them, and they were en route to 9/11, to the World Trade Center.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
So he told me, don't even tell me this. I hear knocking on the trailer at night. I keep the blinds closed. So there was a lot of activity up there.
A lot of activity. I can only imagine, because especially you and I were talking before the show, a sensitive person like yourself or myself, I know, I just can't imagine being in that kind of a situation with that many souls congregated there.
Yes.
I mean, it could be really overwhelming.
Yes.
And when I say this to you, I mean, I hope, do you think that contributed to your heart attack?
Well, of course, they'll say the stress contributed to it, to having the heart attack up there. But I had a lot of metals in my blood, cadmium and nickel. And I didn't have heart disease. I had a blister of the LAD artery, which is one of your main arteries.
Oh.
So they feel that the metals blistered the LAD artery, and it gave me a massive heart attack up there.
Well, thank God you're here.
Thank God. I wasn't meant to go at that point.
No, you have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
You have a lot of work to do. And so then what happened? What happened next?
What's interesting, I after I had the heart attack, I was in the cardiac care unit at the old St. Vincent's, which is now Rumsey. And they had told me that you're the most critically ill patient in the hospital.
Oh.
So I think my mother was there, my wife was there. I think they might have said that this doesn't really look good, that he may not get through the night type of thing. But I was conscious and I was talking, and I really didn't feel like anything was going to, as people say, your whole life goes a flash before you. Mine didn't flash. I was looking forward to going home. I just knew that this wasn't, the end here.
You just knew.
I just knew. But I knew, but I really didn't know because, again, I didn't know really what was going on with me until later on. So a couple of stories. I woke up in the middle of actually it was early morning, and my Uncle Charlie was sitting on the end of the bed. And he was in a long black coat, and he had his hat on. And I looked at him, and I fell back asleep. And when my wife and my mother had come up to see me and my daughter, I said, Uncle Charlie came to see me last night. And everybody looked at me, my mother, and Uncle Charlie had died in 1987.
Oh.
So that was the first time that I really started looking into this. So that's what they call the transcendental near-death.
Yes.
Where relatives or spiritual beings will come and visit you before you're ready to cross over. So I felt that I was left on this fence. So I can dip in and I can dip out.
Right. I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
Because, it's, as you know, I'm also a medium.
Yes.
And what happens, my whole life has always been that I'm here, and then in a split second I'm not, and then I'm here, and then I'm not.
Right.
That's how I'm able to connect with the other side.
Right.
So I know what you're talking about that fence. But you had a near-death experience.
Right.
Right. So tell me about your near-death experience. What did you,
Well, that was essentially it. The my uncle showing up. That's how it came up.
Oh, I see.
So there was an author, Jeffrey
Oh.
Long,
Yes.
who did a book on near-death experiences.
Yes.
And I was on Coast to Coast Radio with him.
Okay.
And
Yep.
I told him that story, and he said, yes, that is a transcendental near. That
Right.
was actually my near-death experience. So there wasn't white light and me walking toward the light. It didn't get that far. So, I don't think I was brought back. I just think that I was right there, or everything that happened to me, I was already a medium, and this just brought it to light. It
Exactly.
just brought it out.
Well, yeah, because I mean, this is just what I'm looking at here. I mean, because you went to the
Right.
other side. You
Right.
were on the other side.
Right.
Right? I mean, open heart surgery, don't they have to, they stop your heart?
Well,
don't they?
that's another story. That's later on. So
Oh,
this is the near death was initially when I had the heart attack in 2002.
yes.
2014, I was told that I needed open heart surgery.
Oh.
Now there's a good story associated with that also. So now I'm told that I need an aortic valve replacement, and it has nothing to do with the heart attack. So I went to different surgeons, and I said, "Can we go through the side?" There's all kinds of new ways to do it, and they said, "No, we got to go right down the middle." So
you had that done, huh?
yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
every time I woke up, I was thinking aortic valve. It was always on my mind. Aortic valve, aortic valve. So I had a couple of months before I actually went in for the surgery. So I had said to my sister Laura, I said, I had a thought. I said, when they stop my heart and lungs and put me on the heart and lung machine, I'm going to see if I can cross over. And she said to me, don't do that. Don't play with that. I said, I'm not playing with it. But I said, it seems like something natural. There's no brain activity, really, from what I understand, once you're under anesthesia. There's no dreaming. There's nothing like that. So silently, without telling everybody, that's what I was trying to do. I said, I want to see, take me over while I'm out. So I went in for, when I went in for the actual surgery, they, you do the pre-testing
Right.
the week before. So they said they couldn't find my pre-testing information. So I said, well, isn't everything digital now? Everything is right there. And they said, oh, and then they said, oh, we found it. It was under Josephine Lani. That's my grandmother, Josephine.
Oh.
So my sister says, that's Nana. So I knew right then and there. My grandmother had passed away in 1986. She's the one that's always come through for me, always been around. And I went into the surgery. I told my wife, I said, I'll be out, don't worry about it. This is, I'm good. So during the surgery, they actually came to me. So my grandmother is on my side.
Yes.
I didn't go to them. I'm lying down.
Uh-huh.
Grandmother's on my side, my grandfather, my Uncle Charlie, my Aunt Jenny, who had passed away, and then other relatives as I looked down past my feet. And I could smell my grandmother's makeup. I could see the sweater that she was wearing. It had that old gold kind of thread through it. And they weren't talking, but we were communicating. And she was holding I had a favorite bird, a cockatiel that had passed away. She was holding the bird to show me that she had the bird. And at some point, my Uncle Charlie says, Jojo, that's who he called her, Jojo,
Yeah.
we got to go. And I looked at my Uncle Charlie and I saw the number 115 behind him or on the ceiling if you were looking up. And then I guess when I came out, I was 2 days in ICU, and they able to disconnect everything, and 'cause you're on the vent. It's really a nasty, nasty surgery. So I remembered all this, And when I went to see my surgeon for the follow-up, I said to him, how long was I under? So he said, you were under like 7 hours, 3 hours
Oh.
longer than what you were supposed to be.
Oh, my
'Cause we couldn't
goodness.
get the air out of your heart. So I said, well, what time did you restart my heart? So he goes to his laptop, types it in, 115, 115. And that's the number I saw, 115.
There you go.
So they had to leave before they restarted the heart. He said, Jojo, we got to go, clear as day. So however that fits into things. And then a lot of little, when they woke me up, I saw a penny across the room. And I said to the guy, I said, "Could you pick that penny up?" And the guy said, "How do you even see that?" And the penny was 1986 is when my grandmother died. So all these little things.
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Synchronicities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that
Not
was
coincidence,
the
synchronicity.
that was the big thing with the open heart. And then I realized, this was a lot bigger than I thought it was to begin with. The mediumship.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you've done a lot of readings for people, right?
Done a lot of readings.
Yeah.
Hundreds of readings for I guess a good 10 years. And I go to people's homes. I do the reading there and have them write everything out. I don't do a 30-minute reading. There's no clock. And I have them write everything down. And they've been very successful, I guess, for lack of a better word,
Well,
because
yeah.
I'm connected.
You definitely are.
Right.
Because before the show, we sat here and you had asked me about Christine.
Right.
Right. And then I told you about that, and you were right on. You were
Right.
absolutely right on about
Right.
Christine. And I told you I kept thinking about Christine today.
Yes.
Remember? And because there's an angel by the name of Christine also, and who we have here is Archangel Jophiel on the table here, and Angel Christine is also associated with Jophiel. However, I shared with you, I have a niece, Christine. I have a great niece, a great niece, Christine. And my confirmation name is Christine.
And I said
So
Chrissy,
you were like,
Christine, yeah.
Yeah. And you said Chrissy, and you said
Right.
Christine.
Right.
And Christine is Chrissy's mom. So, yeah, you were right. That was very good. That was really, really good. Now you do readings, but you're in constant contact with the other side, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I've
tell
learned to
us
live with
about
them.
that. Yeah, you learn to live with them. Okay, that's an interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. And, people that do what I do or have these gifts understand when I tell them things.
Right.
People that don't, they can look at you like, maybe there's something wrong.
Oh yeah.
But I've learned to just really blow them off now.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
So I'll,
Absolutely.
I wake up in the morning, they'll knock on the wall. Good morning. They'll wake up, they'll knock, they'll wake me up sometimes at night. Some of the more malicious ones. They'll turn lights on and off, take things, hide them. I've seen them walk in corners in the house. All stuff that in the beginning was very alarming, but now I'm not alarmed anymore by it.
No,
I just know that they're here.
Yeah, but see, when you were talking before about when you were a little boy in reference to your cat
Right.
that you had lost, you said you weren't afraid.
No.
Even though, it's like you just naturally knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, from what I can see here and everything that you've been telling me, I feel, as I had mentioned to you, that you were just born this way.
Right.
And it just became more and more enhanced with these incidences in your life. And I also find it extremely interesting that you would have been, dealing with the remains
Right.
of the souls that had passed on 9/11
Right.
in such an intense way. You
Yes.
know, no, I don't think anybody, others could handle that. That's
Yeah, it's interesting
But
because
see, you have an understanding.
yes, yeah, and I was good. I had no problem up there. Other people had problems. They couldn't sleep. They couldn't eat.
Yeah.
I just felt like, and again, this is all before I knew what was going on with me.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was directed to do this. I was supposed to be there. Oh,
Amen.
yeah, they had told me early on also that you're not going to go any higher than sergeant on the police department. So I was a young sergeant at the time, and I was like, well, that's just ridiculous. How's that going to happen? And they said, well, you're going to do very well in the rank, which I did. I became a squad commander in several Brooklyn detective squads. I did very well. But I remained a sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is at Fresh Kills, there was no more room for a lieutenant, which would have been the next rank up, to be fit in at Fresh Kills. There was only a room for another sergeant. So I believe that I stayed a sergeant because I had to be plugged into Fresh Kills.
I agree.
So
I'm telling you, I just agree.
There's no other explanation for it.
No, it doesn't sound like there is. And it was your destiny to be there because, the way that I look at what I do is I'm working for God.
Right.
And that's what you do.
Right, exactly.
And the other thing is that when you were there, see, I mean, that probably gave a lot of comfort to those lost souls.
Absolutely.
That were there, because to know that there was an opening, to connect with you.
And that followed me later on. They actually there was a fireman that I was, I don't want to say friendly with, but he was in my house, and I could smell his fire coat in my basement when I went downstairs. And I actually was able to identify him through a nickname.
Really?
So I knew, and he thanked me they never found his body, but he thanked me for being at Fresh Kills, which led me to doing readings for other firefighters' families.
So you mean that from his nickname that he conveyed to you from the other side, were you able to tell his family?
I did not tell his family because I didn't want to get into that whole. I don't know how they're going to react to that kind of information.
I understand.
And I was never really told to do it, so I just,
Okay. But, what I find is myself in readings that the souls that I connect with, they're so grateful to have an opening to be able to communicate to their loved ones. So you must have really, have fulfilled so many people's hearts.
I think so. I really do.
Yeah.
And I give them detailed information. I mean, so detailed. It's not like, how I passed or, superficial information. For example, I said to one firefighter's wife who had passed away, I said, your husband's telling me about Lourdes, France. So how did that ever fit in with a FDNY fireman?
Right.
And she said to me, every year he went to Lourdes, France to, I guess he was involved in this type of work or whatever.
Yeah.
But he would go every year to Lourdes, France. And a lot of all these little particular information, their truck designation, their engine designation, everything was just perfect, and a lot of people were very happy.
Oh, yes.
With the reading.
That's so important.
Some people it makes them sadder, I found. Some people are happy. I think, just knowing that they're okay, they're happy, but it just brings up memories. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that they're fighting that emotion, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? I really feel that if it wasn't meant to be, then it wouldn't have happened that you would get that information.
Right.
Know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very difficult for the souls that have passed. I have found myself, like in a reading, I'll be connecting with one, and then there'll be a whole lineup. Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, I don't see them as a lineup like that. I can feel them.
Yeah.
And normally the dominant spirit will hold the phone.
Exactly.
So to speak.
But you can feel the other ones, right? Yeah, that's what I'm referring to, like a lineup. Yeah, because it's really hard to explain, isn't it?
It's I don't even explain it anymore.
Yeah.
As far as skeptics in that line, I
Right.
just tell them I don't really care what you believe. To be honest with you,
Well-
I tried to be very nice in the beginning. I tried to be but you get some things thrown at you, and I basically just say, listen. I mean, just listen to what I'm telling you. I just need you to validate the information. Be honest with me. If you're not going to be honest with me, the reading's going to go nowhere.
Right.
So, it was more of a thing of like, well, I believe in some of this, but I don't believe that you can do this. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And so I've fielded all the remarks that go along with it.
Yeah, because even though you're giving information that, for goodness sake, how would you know? Right?
Well,
How would you know?
Well, I've actually had people say to me, "You must have Googled me." So I said to them, "Did you ever Google yourself? There's nothing there."
Yeah, but you and I, before the show, we were talking about details that come up in readings and stuff like that.
Right.
Like strange. I was sharing with you about that girl when there was 200 people in the room, and
Yes.
her mother's telling me about peanut
Right.
butter and bananas.
Right.
And that.
Right, but I'm talking about people
But
that
like
would say,
you,
right.
when that happens with you,
Right.
okay, you get a little here and like who would have ever known about Lourdes, France,
Exactly.
or like odd things.
Yeah, but with this particular person, it just makes me laugh thinking back. When I said to him, if you Google yourself, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
I said to him, I said, in the Google thing, it has your mother's little white dog and that she was a Lutheran and that you were redoing your dining room. That was on Google.
Oh wow.
So what happens is they're stunned.
Yeah, they don't know how to react
They
because
don't
they
know
don't
how
know
to
how to
react.
accept
That's
it
right.
in their minds.
Right.
Unfortunately, not all people.
No.
It's just some that are very skeptical.
Right, yes.
Because unfortunately, there are
Absolutely.
charlatans.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I mean, there it is.
Yeah.
But it's like they can't figure out.
They can't figure it
Because they keep
out.
on trying to think with their human brain.
Right.
How did he know that?
Exactly. It's like a magic show to them.
Yeah.
Well, how did he do that trick?
Yeah, that trick.
Yeah.
The trick. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm like over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So I've taken on that kind of a, demeanor with a lot of people. One guy had said to me, I don't believe in, I was reading his wife, firefighter, and in the family, and the husband came down and said, I don't believe in this, a little nasty. So I said to him, I said, who's Charlie Chan? And his wife burst out laughing and said, that's what they called him as a kid, Charlie Chan.
I love it. I just love it. I just love it.
And he was good, he looked at me like, okay, you got me.
But listen, I don't want to run out of time here because you have some amazing pictures that Brian has to put up. Right, Brian? Okay, would you explain when Brian puts up the pictures? Would you be kind enough, Joe,
Sure.
to explain? Because you showed me these amazing pictures before.
Right.
Wow,
Right.
This is cool. This is really cool. Okay, thank you, Brian.
So that's my umbrella on my deck.
Okay.
And these pictures are off the cameras or my surveillance system. And if you see the number 7 clearly on the umbrella,
Oh, yeah.
which I knew at the time was a spiritual number,
Yes.
and I saw the number 7
Absolutely.
clear as day, and I walked outside, and there was no 7 visible to the human eye, but it was on. So I would walk out, no number 7, and then I would look at the camera, and there was the number 7.
So let me ask you, how do you think that got there?
It's just an imprint. It's
Yeah, giving you a message.
giving me a message.
That's what I feel.
Yes.
I really do. Giving you a message. Wow. And we have other ones too, right? Oh, okay.
So that one may be hard to see. However, it's a classic.
Show Mary the picture.
Okay. So that camera's on the side of my house.
Okay.
So you can see the fence, the white fence.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, we were looking at these
Right.
earlier. Oh, yeah, look at
and
that.
over the fence is a horse head or a donkey. So
Up
what's
at the
funny
top.
about that is
Right, it's up at the top.
it's up at the top, right over the top of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
You can clearly see a donkey's head. So,
Yeah, and I'm looking at the picture
Right.
live here that you just showed me.
Right, and I said to my
physically.
daughter,
Yeah.
"Go up and feed the horse for me." And
That blew my mind.
now, why would there be a horse over my? I don't know. We don't have any horses in
I
Oakland.
don't. Oh my goodness! You
Oh.
know, I mean, how do you know a horse didn't pass at some time way back on your property?
Well, I'm a big animal
before-
lover too.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of animals around me,
Oh.
which is a good point you're bringing up.
Yeah.
So
Very good. Very good. What else do you have there? Okay, so Brian will put up another one.
right, okay. So I put 2 arrows there next to my arm. And you can see dog faces on my arm.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of Joe, and that's a beautiful dog that you had there.
Yes.
And then, but on your arm, there's 2 little dog faces.
Dog faces, right.
Yeah.
So
Who
you
are
can see
they?
right with the arrows, or you can see for people that are looking at it at home, you should be able to see it pretty clearly.
Yeah, if you
may
go up
see
to
one
your
face
screen.
or 2 faces.
Yeah, you can go up to your screen and look at
Right.
it closer.
And that
Yeah.
was from I was 19 years old there, so we're talking years ago. This is again before I knew anything that was going on with me. These are pictures that I saw later on in life.
Can we have another one, Bri?
That's that's one of my favorite ones. That is actually, I call them the ghost birds. They're
Yeah.
2 doves in my house.
Oh,
And I don't know so much on camera here, but you can actually see
You
the
can see
top
the
bird
Yes,
in
very clearly.
full regalia there with the wings going.
Very clearly, and then the on the bottom where the other arrow is, if you go up to your screen, because I'm looking at this picture in person, and it's very clear that there's another. They look like turtle doves
They do.
to me.
They
you
do look
know,
like turtle doves.
which that's the sign of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know it's all good.
Wow, all good.
And I've
yeah.
actually seen these birds with my own eyes. Now I have birds,
Yes.
so I'll say that I have birds, but I don't have those white birds, and they're not out flying around the house.
No, these are
So,
when you
right.
first showed me that picture
Right.
earlier before the show. When you were showing me this picture, I was looking at it, and it was just so obvious.
Yes.
So what else do you have, Brian?
Well, this is the girl's face.
I like this one.
That
oh
is
my
actually
gosh.
now they seem to show up the spirit images in some type of glass or window or mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a spotlight on the side of my house. I have several other pictures that are close to that, but to me, it looks clearly like a little girl's face.
Absolutely.
You can see the teeth,
Absolutely.
the eyes, the nose.
Yeah, I mean, it was immediate that you
Right.
can tell just by looking at this
Right.
picture. And what's the next one, Brian? Thank you. What's that one?
That looks a little. Oh, that's my daughter with the picture of my daughter. You can't see; it's too dark there.
Yeah.
But it's a picture of an orb on
With
on my dog.
And
My-
you said that there's a lot of orbs.
a lot of orbs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Brian, how about another one? Thanks, Brian. Oh, this is the one when. Oh, yeah.
So
That's-
again, this is
Yeah.
I don't know how visible you're going to be able to see there, but I don't know how it's going to show up on the. But you can see a white bird on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Um,
See, there it is again, the white bird.
The white bird.
Yeah.
And if you look on my knees, you can see pictures of dog faces.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the
Very
screen.
clear.
And
Now-
then there's also a bird on the back of my car,
Yes.
like a crane, they would call it, like one of the old big birds. And but that bird wasn't obviously there.
But there's a lot of energy and light around you in this picture. If in person, you know what me
Yes.
me holding it, looking at it. What about another one, Brian? Please. We're done. Okay, we're
Okay.
done. Okay. Here, let me give these back to you, Joe.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So you wrote the book Running with the Bulls.
Right.
The Road to Fresh Kills.
Right.
Right. And now you told me, though, that, which is a very interesting book, but you told me that you're in the middle of writing another book.
Right. I'm writing the from that point on, the sequel, as they may call it.
The sequel.
And
yes.
it's all paranormal. It's all inclusive. A lot of my readings, strange readings, a lot of experiences, physical mediumship, white feathers, raindrops, rumblings in the house, like horses are running up the stairs. Anything that you could, and I'm actually taking my time writing it because it is so disturbing in some senses that I want to make sure that I bring it along the right way.
Right.
But everything in there is absolutely true. And what's interesting is my wife, Carol,
Yes.
has heard a lot of these things.
Also,
So,
she
yes.
hears them also.
Right. So she'll
Oh.
back me up.
Okay.
I'll say to her, "Did you hear that?" And she'll say, "I heard it."
Oh, yeah.
So
They're constantly sending you signs,
all
right?
the time.
So, people always want to know, how do I know if my loved one is near? How do I know, right?
Right.
And I'll tell them to look for signs.
Right.
Always look for signs, just like the angels give you signs. But your loved ones, a lot of times I noticed it comes in numbers. Lots of times I notice that it comes in numbers, or maybe a bird. Many
Right.
times the loved ones come in the form of bird, and sounds and smells. And how about you? What else would you like to contribute about that?
Well,
How do
I
they
get
know?
direct. I'll hear my grandmother, for example.
Oh, speaking.
Yes, I had
absolutely.
one of my favorite dogs that passed away 3 years ago, and everybody in the family was saying, "Oh boy, when Ruby dies, Dad's going to be really bad." And I was, the day was going to come eventually.
Yeah.
And so she passed one night,
Oh.
and I was up all night. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I heard my grandmother say to me, "Joey, I got her."
Oh.
So I know that the dog was picked up from wherever on the other side, and that she has the dog.
Yeah.
So I hear direct things.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean.
And,
You're clairaudient.
Absolutely.
I know, me
Absolutely.
too. And lots of times, though, people who want to be able to communicate with their loved ones, they should just try, when they're alone, talking, right?
Exactly.
And, you may get a response.
You may get a response. You just have to be open to it. I mean, a lot of people
Exactly.
tell me they'll smell their mother's perfume.
Oh, yeah.
I said, that's very common. That's very good.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't get that experience. Mm-hmm. Just pay attention. Some people hear songs on the radio,
Absolutely.
that bring back things, or just pay attention to all of it, because it's all very real. And we're all going to pass on from this life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they're doing just fine on the other side.
They sure are. Any of the loved ones that I connect with in readings or in my own family, etc., that I've passed, they're always young. They're in perfect physical condition. They're happy. They're always happy. And they're just sending this beautiful love.
Right.
I mean, they're very happy on the other
They're
side
very
over
happy.
there. But they're always checking on us. And what I also noticed is that different souls have different abilities. Like you were saying about the flicking of the lights.
Right.
All right. Some of them are really good with manipulating those energies, or the songs on the radio and things like that. And then others are really good with, maybe changing the temperature in the room home, or, there's so many things. But I got to tell you, I mean, I can't wait for your book to come out. Okay.
Thanks.
I hope I'm going to get an autographed copy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's going to be really interesting.
I'm sure it is. You're
yeah.
a very interesting man. You're a
Well, thank
very
you.
interesting soul, and you're genuine.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we agree on that. And, well, you've been doing this a long time, and so have I, but I really, really do believe, and I'm sure you do too, this has just been this has been the mission, really, ultimately, for you.
Right.
From the beginning of when you were first born all the way up until
Yes.
now. And so, I mean, I really appreciate the fact that you came on the show tonight.
Thank
You
you for
know,
having
I
me.
was looking forward to it
Yes.
very much.
So was I.
And yeah, and I really appreciate you being here, and I thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And please come back again.
Yes,
Okay, and
anytime.
especially when your book comes out,
Yes.
you have to come and see me.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And sending you many, many blessings, bright, beautiful blessings. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you all. Enjoy your life. It's time to be happy now. This is the time we've been waiting for. It's time to now enjoy your life again. God bless you all.